What does it really mean to leave a place behind? Not just a house, not just a city, but the memories buried in its walls, the pain in its silence, and the ghosts that no one else sees. For Janelle Brown, Flagstaff wasn't just another chapter in her life. It was the battleground of her deepest heartbreaks and her final goodbye to a dream that never quite came true. Hi friends, I'm Sophia, and welcome back to TLC's Sister Wives Reality. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps more Sister Wives fans find our channel. And of course, drop a comment below. Do you think Janelle was right to walk away from Flagstaff completely? Or would you have stayed behind and held on a little longer? Because what we're about to talk about today, it's raw, it's real, and honestly, it's the kind of emotional turning point that changes a person forever. Let's rewind just a bit. In early 2024, Janelle made a quiet, powerful decision. She was done. Done with Flagstaff. Done with the weight of the past. Done with the sorrow that seemed to live in the corners of that town. But unlike the dramatic exits we've seen from other Sister Wives cast members, hers came with no theatrics. Just a storage unit, a few close friends, and a final load of boxes filled with pieces of a life she no longer claimed. Over the weekend, she made the trip back to Coconino County, this time not to visit family, not to reconcile, but to collect the last of her things. No cameras rolling, no family drama, just her, Angela, and Christina, two longtime friends, loading up the final remnants of the Flagstaff chapter into a truck. Janelle posted a couple of photos to her Instagram stories. You could see it in her smile. That calm, that confidence, it wasn't staged. It was the face of a woman who knew she was finally free. One photo, posted by Christina, said it all. It's sad to see you go with your last belongings in Flag, but we are very proud and happy for you, Janelle. It wasn't just a caption. It was a send-off, like the last page in a diary that's finally been closed. And Janelle? She reshared it. No long explanation. Just that quiet nod. That's the thing about Janelle. She doesn't need to shout her transformation from the rooftops. You can feel it in her silence. On that same weekend, she shared a video reel on her Instagram. It was set to Bachman-Turner Overdrive's Taking Care of Business. That song choice? Not random. It was cheeky, it was upbeat, but it was also so on point. Because that's exactly what she was doing, tying up loose ends, taking care of business, and finally walking away with her head held high. And she explained it clearly in the caption. She said, "In Flagstaff, I had one final storage unit. There were numerous small items from the condo that either didn't fit in boxes or were last-minute evacuees that didn't fit into the U-Haul. And you guys, I can't stop thinking about that word, evacuees. That's not the word someone uses for regular junk. That's what you call something you had to escape from. It tells you everything." Janelle mentioned she'd been waiting for the right weather and the right window of time to bring this last haul out. And isn't that how healing works too? You don't always get to rush it. Sometimes you just wait for the right moment. The moment you're finally ready to face what's left and say, "I'm done now." And that's what this was. Her final trip wasn't just a run to storage. It was a symbolic clearing, a quiet ritual of letting go, of saying, "This town doesn't hold me anymore." But it wasn't all solitude. She had her friends right there with her, Angela and Christina, lifting boxes, wrapping up loose ends, and reminding her she wasn't alone in this closure. It's easy to forget how important those quiet friendships are. When the spotlight fades and the show stops airing, who helps you load your last box into a truck? That's who really matters. And it's not just what Janelle was physically packing away, it's what she left behind. Because Flagstaff isn't just the town where her marriage to Kody fell apart. It's the place where she dreamed of building a future on Coyote Pass, a future that never came to be. It's where she watched the dream of family unity dissolve. It's where she faced some of the most emotionally heavy moments in her life, including the loss of her son, Garrison. She didn't talk about that in her post, but how could she not feel it in every step she took across that storage unit floor? The pain of March 2024, when Garrison died by suicide in his Flagstaff home, lingers like a shadow. Every corner of that town must echo with memories. Every street, every sunset, every dusty trail near Coyote Pass must feel like a heartbreak she doesn't want to keep reliving. So yes, Packing that final load was about getting rid of furniture, files, and forgotten decor. But it was also about putting distance between herself and a place where hope turned into hurt. And what struck me most was how unceremonious it was. No press release, no public announcement, just a song, a smile, and some Instagram stories. That's Janelle's power. She doesn't need a spotlight to reclaim her life. She just gets up, does the work, and moves forward. And honestly, that's strength. Real strength. When she pulled away from that storage unit for the last time, I imagined the silence in the car wasn't heavy. It was light. Like that first deep breath you take after leaving a toxic place, like the kind of quiet that says, I'm not looking back. And that's how this chapter ends. Not with bitterness, not with blame, but with resolution. It was never about winning or proving anything. It was about walking away with grace. For Janelle Brown, Flagstaff is over. Not because she ran away, but because she outgrew it. What's ahead is a new kind of freedom. One she built with her own hands, her own choices, and her own quiet strength. Coming up next, we'll talk about the moment that shook everything, how the loss of her son Garrison turned her world inside out, and how she's slowly finding a way to honor him, not by clinging to grief, but by living with purpose. Stay tuned, friends, because what comes after loss is often the most powerful part of the story. There are no words big enough to describe the loss of a child. It shatters you in ways you didn't even know you could break. And for Janelle Brown, the pain of losing her son Garrison in March 2024 didn't just shake her, it redefined her life. When the news broke that Garrison had died by suicide in his Flagstaff home, fans across the country were stunned. But no one felt it like Janelle. This wasn't just a personal tragedy. This was the kind of loss that changes the temperature of every room you walk into. And yet, she didn't disappear. She didn't collapse into the background. She held her head up, quiet, raw, but still standing. The days following his death weren't about public statements or media noise. Janelle grieved the way she lives, with intention, with privacy, and with quiet strength. On social media, she didn't share much, but what she did say came straight from the heart. She called him a bright spot in the lives of all who knew him, and you could feel her heartbreak behind those words. You could hear the silence between the sentences. And then something remarkable happened. Just a few months later, Janelle's daughter Maddie welcomed a baby girl. Her name, Josephine Lee Brush. Lee, chosen in honor of Garrison, whose middle name was also Lee. It was more than a name. It was a thread connecting grief to new life, pain to purpose, death to rebirth. Through that one small gesture, Maddie and Janelle made sure Garrison's legacy wouldn't be defined by his final moments, but by his impact, his love, and the way his family continues forward with him in their hearts. Janelle doesn't speak often about her grief, but when she does, it's real. It's not for the cameras, it's for healing. And for those watching, for fans who followed her for years, that kind of honesty cuts deeper than any reality TV drama ever could, because this isn't a storyline. This is life. And Janelle is still here, surviving, healing, and honoring the son she'll always carry with her. Coyote Pass was supposed to be the Browns' fresh start. A clean slate, a piece of land big enough to hold one husband, 4 wives, and a sprawling vision of unity. Back in 2018, when the family dropped over $800,000 on those parcels in Flagstaff, Kody Brown had dreams, big ones. He pictured custom homes for each wife, kids running between yards, a retirement plan that kept everyone close. But somewhere between the fantasy and the foundation, everything fell apart. By the time we hit season 19, that dream wasn't just cracking, it had crumbled. And in the latest court documents, we saw it spelled out in black and white. Kody had divided the land, not equally, not lovingly, but legally. Robin and Kody retained one portion. Janelle and Mary, they were granted a 50-50 split of another. Christine, she was completely written out, gone. Like she'd never been a part of the dream at all. And let's not forget, this wasn't just about real estate. This was the collapse of a belief system. A man who once preached spiritual unity was now filing property deeds and dodging accountability. What happened to the man who wanted all his wives under one roof? What happened to the women who once believed in that vision? Janelle, though, she didn't fight for the fantasy anymore. She fought for what was hers. She lawyered up. She held her ground. And when that paperwork was signed, it wasn't just a transfer of land. It was a silent but powerful declaration. She's done playing along. For viewers who watched every episode, every tense family meeting on that dusty land, this was closure. The symbolic burial of an ideal that never really stood a chance. Coyote Pass is no longer a shared dream. It's a scar on the map of a broken promise. And Janelle? She walked away, not bitter, not defeated, but awake. The land may have been split, but she's no longer divided. She's whole. And for the first time in years, she's building something that's entirely her own. While Flagstaff marked the end, North Carolina became the beginning, and not the loud, flashy kind of beginning. Janelle didn't need applause or an audience. She needed peace. So she found it somewhere slower, softer, and deeply personal, down south where the air feels a little gentler, and the noise of the past doesn't follow you home. She moved in with her daughter Madison, her son-in-law Caleb, and their 4 young children. A full house, yes, but not in the chaotic way we saw back in the early Sister Wives days. This was different. There was laughter, routine, and comfort. The kind of comfort that comes from not having to share your life with someone who's not really there. Janelle didn't waste time wallowing. She got to work. Alongside Madison and Caleb, she started Tata Farms, a family-run flower and produce business rooted in love, healing, and sustainability. Each flower grown, each seed planted, felt like a small act of reclaiming. It wasn't just about growing things. It was about growing a life she actually wanted. She also became a grandmother again. Madison gave birth to baby Amelia Estelle, a name that carries weight, honoring Janelle's late son, Garrison. It was heartbreak and healing living side by side. That's real life. And Janelle? She's living all of it fully. She found a rhythm in the simplicity. Long walks, garden dirt under her nails, quiet mornings with the grandkids. No cameras, no scripts, just life. And maybe for the first time, it's finally hers. Because leaving wasn't running away. It was choosing something better, something healthier. And what she's building now? It's not just a comeback. It's a quiet, determined rebirth, and every step of it looks exactly like freedom. Some transformations are loud. Janelle's wasn't. It was quiet, honest, and deeply human. She recently posted a photo. No makeup, no filter, no performance, just Janelle in an infrared sauna in Greenville, North Carolina. Her hair pulled back, her face fresh, her eyes calm. Not a glam shot, a real one. And the internet noticed. Fans compared her to Marilyn Monroe and Pamela Anderson, not because of looks alone, but because of the ease, the natural beauty, and that rare kind of glow that comes from being comfortable in your own skin. After everything she's been through, that picture spoke volumes, not just about appearance, but peace. Janelle wrote that after a stressful week, the sauna felt like hitting a reset button. And in those words, you could feel the exhaustion and the healing. She wasn't chasing youth. She wasn't selling perfection. She was just sharing a moment of quiet recovery, something her followers connected to deeply. She's no longer performing for a reality show. She's living her life. And somehow, in peeling everything back and choosing to show up fully herself, she's never looked more beautiful or more powerful. Coyote Pass was supposed to be their legacy. 4 wives, 18 kids, one big dream. That vision, it's gone. Back when Kody Brown moved the family from Las Vegas to Flagstaff, he dreamed of building 4 homes side by side, one for each wife. He imagined unity, a shared future. But what unfolded instead was heartbreak, division, and silence. Now, the land has been legally split. According to recent filings, Janelle and Mary each hold a 50% stake in one key parcel. Robin and Kody, the last remaining couple, still own another. Christine? She's been completely erased from the paperwork. She sold her share years ago, long before the collapse fully set in. This isn't just about property. This is the paperwork of a broken promise, the legal stamp on a family dream that never materialized. And Janelle, once so devoted to that vision, isn't fighting for it anymore. She's not clinging to shared dinners, shared walls, or shared plans. She walked away, signed her name, moved on. Coyote Pass now stands as a reminder, not of what they built, but of what they couldn't hold together.